Hi, welcome back to the Power of Model Drawing once again. Now, today we are going to look at Lesson 3 and we are going to learn to recognize fractions that refer to the same group. And if they are referring to the same group, we can make their denominators the same, or we call it make common denominator. Or we can also drop down the model if we cannot cut into boxes. Alright, so let's look at the first example and let's see how do we make the denominator the same. Alright, how do we make common denominator? Now, 1/5. Okay, 1/5 of the people. Okay, let me just highlight. 1/5 of the people at the park are men, and 2/3 of them are women. Alright, now if you notice that there are two fractions in this problem, so what are they referring to? Now you always look at the words behind. 1/5 of the people. So this fraction is referring to the people at the park. And then 2/3 of them. So the second fraction refers to them. And what is them? Them refers to the same people at the park. So which means that the people and the word them are the same, right? In the same group. So you make the denominator the same. So you have 1/5 and then you have 2/3. Okay, so you are going to make them the same common denominator. And how do we do that? Now, you find the common multiples of 5 and 3. So for example, you have 3, 6, 9, 15. These are the multiples of 3. And then your multiples of 5 will be 5, 10, and 15. So you can see that the common number is 15. So you are going to make the denominator into 15. And then you have 5 times 3 and 1 times 3. So instead of 1/5, you have 3 over 15. So I'm going to just cross out this fraction and replace it with 3 over 15 of the people are men. Alright, and then you have 2/3, and you 3 times 5 and 2 times 5. So you have 10 over 15. So instead of 2/3, I am now going to replace it with 10 over 15. Right? Okay, so 10 over 15 of them are women. And the remaining 96 people are children. So how many people are there at the park altogether? And then that's it. So we're going to draw out the model. Alright, so when you see more than one fractions, right, two fractions or more, you need to ask whether are they referring to the same group. If they are referring to the same group, well, you can make the denominators the same and then use the fractions to draw out the model. Alright, so let's draw the model. 3 over 15 of the people. So when you draw the model, you always start at the beginning, right? The first sentence. So which means that the people, which is the whole rectangle, you cut it into 15 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And 3 boxes of them. So you label are men. Okay, so that's where you draw until. And then 10 over 15 of them are women. So you label another 10 boxes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so these are the 10 boxes which are women. So you have drawn until here. And the remaining 96 people are children. So the last 2 boxes must be the children. So you have drawn until here. And by the way, you need to put the number onto the model. And how many people are there at the park altogether? So your question mark is to find the whole rectangle. Alright, now your model is done. So once there's nothing else to draw, what do? You can start to indicate one unit, alright, into your boxes. Well, is it a must to put one unit into so many boxes? Not really. Alright, so you choose whether you want to put your one unit inside or just leave it empty. But all the boxes will be equal and they are called one unit. Okay, now look at the model and what do you do next? You study the model and write your unit statements. So you can see that the children, there are 2 units, which is also 96. So your 1 unit will be 96 and then divide by 2. So your 1 unit will be 48. So how many people are there at the park altogether? So you count all the boxes. There are 15 units of people altogether. So you have 48 and then times 15. Right? And then you do the working. Alright, we are going to skip the working so that we can focus more on the model drawing. So you have 48 times 15 and you will have 720 people at the park altogether. And you solve the problem. So what is the lesson on this first example? It is to look at the two fractions. Right? If a problem has two or more fractions, then you need to ask whether are the fractions referring to the same group. And if they are referring to the same group, then what do? You make the denominator the same. And you also notice that when you draw the model and when you write your statements, you don't really see fractions being written. Right? They are all whole numbers. All the statements, they have whole numbers inside. So that is the advantage of drawing model. Right? When you have a fraction problem, you don't really work with fractions, but you convert the fraction into model, and then everything is in whole numbers. Right? So it's quite easy to come out step by step from the model. Alright, so let's look at example number 2, and let's read the question. Now, a sum of money was shared among Anne, Ben, and Don. Anne received 1/8 of the money. Ben received 1/4 of the money. So you can see the money and the money, they are the same. So the first fraction refers to the money. The second fraction also refers to the same money. So you're going to make the denominator the same later. Alright, now Don received the remaining $250. So how much was the sum of money? Alright, now there is another way to draw the model if you do not want to make the denominator the same. So let's draw the model, and then what do we do if we cannot cut? Okay, let's read the question. A sum of money was shared among Anne, Ben, and Don. So you draw a rectangle that represents the three persons, and then Anne received 1/8 of the money. So it means the money has 8 boxes. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and Anne received 1 box, right? 1 box. And of course, who will receive the rest of the boxes? That will be Ben and Don. Okay, so that's how you draw until here. Alright, now Ben received 1/4 of the money. So which means that if you notice carefully, let's do some arrow pointing. Now, the money has 8 boxes, right? If you look at the first fraction, and Anne received 1 box. So this first fraction refers to part of a group, right? Part of a set. And what is the group? The money, right? And Anne received part of it, okay? And then Ben received 1/4 of the money. So the money has 4 boxes, which is the same group, and Ben received part of it, which is 1 box of it, okay? And then you look at 1/4. Now, the money has 4 boxes, but if you look at the model that you have drawn, are you able to cut the model into 4 boxes? No, you cannot cut because the boxes that you have drawn has 8 boxes already. So how do you cut into 4 boxes? Okay, now if you cannot cut the model, then what do? You actually drop down, right? Drop down your model and drop the same model, right? You draw the same model and you cut into 4 boxes now. And then you can see that Ben received 1 box, and the other 3 boxes must be Anne and Don. Alright, so you can see that I dropped down the model because I cannot cut the model into 4 boxes. Right, so you drop down. When do you drop down? When you cannot cut the model into boxes. Okay, so Don received the remaining $250. So which means that Don 250, and of course this is the same person, so $250. So how much was the sum of money? Alright, so your question mark is to find the whole rectangle or the rectangle below, which is the same. Okay, and your model is done. So what do we do next? Alright, quite simple. What do we do? Now, if you drop down the model, it means that the model on top and the model below, they are the same. They are equal. So there are 8 boxes in the model above. Then there are 4 boxes in the model below. So what do? I just put 4 units, 4. So instead of cutting into smaller boxes, I will indicate the number of units into the boxes so that you don't have too many boxes to count. And then the model below, I will indicate 8 units. Alright, 8 units. Why? Because on top there are 8 boxes. So I indicate 8 units into every box below. Alright, and then if you count, you can see that the model above has 32 units. And then the model below, you also have 32 units, which is the same. Right? So you actually make the model above and below to have equal boxes. Why? Because it's the same, right? You drop down the model, right? It's the same money, right? The model on top and the model below refers to the same group, right? The same money. Okay, all right, and then you can start to find N has how many units? N has 4 units, and then Ben has 8 units, right? And if Ben has 8 units, then Don will have 32 minus N and minus Ben. So Don will have 20, right? 20 units. Okay, so let's write down here. N has 4 units, and Don has 30, or Don has 20 units. Okay, all right. And if you add their units together, right? Ben 8 plus N 4, and Don has 20. You add them together, you will get 32 units of money that they share. Okay, so now we can find the question mark. So how do we find the question mark? If you look at the model, you can see that Don received 20 units, which is also 250. So your 1 unit will be 250 and divide by 20. And what do you get? Now you will get $12.50. Alright, so your 1 unit is $12.50. So how much was the sum of money? So the sum of money is 32 units. So you have $12.50 and then times 32. Alright, and you have 12.5 times 32, and you get $400. So the sum of money was $400. Well, in P4, you may not have learned decimal at this point yet. So what you can do is you can actually change the dollars and cents into cents, which is 1,250 cents, and then times 32. So you do your multiplication with 2-digit numbers, and then 1250 times 32, and you will get, wow, that's a big number, 40,000, right, cents. So how many dollars is that? So that will be, remove the 2 zeros, because $1 has 100 cents. So remove the two zeros, and you will get $400. So how much is the sum of money? Which is $400. Alright, so you can see that you drop down the model. If you cannot cut into boxes, then you drop down. And when you drop down, the model below and the model on top is the same. So how do you cut them all into equal number of boxes? If the model below has four boxes, then you put 4, right? Put 4, 4, 4, and so on. All right. And if the model on top has 8 boxes, then you put 8 units, 8 units, 8 units, and so on. And then you can see that the total units on top and the total units below will be equal. Okay. So that's how you drop down the model if you are unable to cut into boxes. Okay. Let's look at practice problem, and I will give you about 10 minutes to draw out the model, and you can either choose to make the denominator the same, which seems to be simpler and easier, or you can drop down the model, alright, and then use the model to solve the problem. Alright, so your time starts now. Alright, so have you worked out the answer? Alright, let's check. Now, Tom, Henry, and Charles shared a bunch of rambutans. Tom ate 1/5 of the rambutans. Henry ate half of the rambutans. So there are two fractions. Are they referring to the same group? Now, if you look at 1/5, it refers to the rambutans. And you look at half, and it refers to the rambutans also. So they are referring to the same group. Okay? And you can make the denominator the same, alright, or you can drop down the model that you saw just now. Now, Charles ate the remaining 12 rambutans. So how many rambutans were there in the bunch at first? Okay, let's drop down the model, alright, because I would like to focus more on the dropping down. Now, Tom, Henry, and Charles shared a bunch of rambutans. So you have a rectangle that represents the bunch of rambutans, and Tom ate 1/5 of the rambutans. So how do you do the arrow pointing? The denominator points to the rambutans, and Tom ate one part of it. So it is part of a group. Alright, 1/5 is referring to part of a group or fraction of a set. So where is the group? The group is the rambutan, and Tom ate one box from this group. Alright, so cut the rambutans into 5 boxes, and Tom ate one box. So you label. And then who ate the rest of the boxes? Must be the other two person, which is Henry and Charles. Alright, so let me just tidy up the model and label the model nicely. So the rest of the boxes are eaten by Henry and Charles. Okay, and then Henry ate half of the rambutans. So what is this fraction referring to? Part of a group. And what's the group? The rambutans. And out of this group, Henry ate one box of it. Alright, so the rambutans has two boxes now. But if you look at the model that you have drawn, there are 5 boxes, which is also the same rambutans. So can you count the 2 boxes? You cannot count the 2 boxes, right? So what do? So you drop down, right? Drop down and draw the same model, right? The same group, right? The same rambutans, and cut into 2 boxes. Alright, so if you cannot cut, you drop down the model and what do? You cut into 2 boxes. And Henry ate 1 box of it. And who ate the other box? Must be Tom and Charles. Okay, and then Charles ate the remaining 12 rambutans. So let's put the important number beside the person, 12. And you have drawn until here. So how many rambutans were there in the bunch at first? And question mark. And your model is done. Alright, so how do we use the model to continue to solve? Now, the model on top and the model below, same. So you have to cut them into all equal number of boxes. So if there are 5 boxes on top, then I will put 5 units and 5 units. Alright, so which means that if I add them all together, that will be 10 units of rambutans in the bunch. And the model on top, I will put 2 units. Why? Because in the model below, there are 2 boxes. So I put 2 units and so on. And how many units of rambutans in this model? There are total 10 units as well. Okay, so now you can see that you have cut into equal number of units. Alright, and also if you don't want to cut into too many boxes, you can label, you can actually indicate the 5 units and the 2 units into the boxes so that you don't have to cut into many boxes. Alright, and then you look at the model and then you study. So Tom has 2 units, and then Henry has 5 units. And if Henry has 5 units, then Charles will have 10 minus 2 and minus 5. So Charles has 3 units. Alright, so let's continue to build the model, add on to the model. Tom has 2 units, and Charles will have 3 units over here. And then you look at the model, you can see that 3 units is 12, right? So let's write down, Charles has 3 units, which is 12. So your 1 unit will be 12 divided by 3, and 1 unit is equal to 4. So how many units are there in the bunch of rambutans? There are 10 units of rambutans, so you have 10 times 4. So there are altogether 40 rambutans in the bunch, and you have solved the problem. Okay, so what have we learned today? Now we have learned how to make the denominator the same, and we also learned how to drop down the model. So when do we make the denominator the same? When the fractions are referring to the same group. And when do we drop down the model? When we are unable to cut the model into a certain number of boxes. Then we drop down the model. Alright, so that's the end of the lesson. And in the next coming lesson, we will continue to look at fractions and continue to draw out the model. And so it's going to be fun and exciting. Alright, so see you in the next lesson.